Close your eyes for a second and imagine being there. The calm ocean, the cold cutting through the air, the world's largest ship charging forward in the darkness. In exactly 10 minutes, everything will disappear. But now, nobody knows that. Today you'll find out what the last 10 minutes before the Titanic was washed away by the ocean, the way almost no one ever told. That night, the ocean seemed to have made a silent agreement with the sky. No waves broke against the hull. No wind blew through the deck. The North Atlantic was so calm that it looked more like a dark, infinite, immobile mirror. For many passengers, that was beautiful. For some older crewmen, it was unusual, but not enough to cause fear. The Titanic was steady, majestic, as if nothing in the world could stop its path. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was one of comfortable routine. The great halls still kept the soft echo of dinner conversations. The smell of freshly served food lingered in the air, mingled with the elegant scent of first-class clothes. Men closed their vests. Women straightened their hair before heading to the cabins. Low laughter ran through the corridors. It was the kind of night that made people believe that everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. In the second class, families organized themselves to sleep. Coats folded over chairs, shoes lined up next to the beds. Some mothers covered their children carefully, as if they wanted to protect them not from the cold, but of the world. In third class, the atmosphere was simple, quiet, but peaceful. People tired after a long day of travel settled in, imagining the future that awaited them on the other side of the ocean. New life, new country, new chance. The Titanic was not just a ship. It was hope in motion. On the outer decks, few passengers could still resist the intense cold. The air cut through his face, making his steps faster. Some watched the completely clear sky, filled with stars that seemed closer than ever. It was too beautiful a night to be dangerous. The absence of waves brought a false sense of security. No movement in the water, no noise, no instability. Everything seemed under absolute control. The engines kept the same continuous, almost hypnotic rhythm. A constant sound that rocked the ship like a deep breath. Nothing creaked, nothing vibrated, nothing warned. In many pocket watches, time moved slowly, second after second, without any hurry. In some cabins, lights were turned off. In others, someone would still write a letter believing that they would have time to finish it the next day. There was no visible omen. There was no farewell atmosphere. There was no sense of end. The great irony of that night was simple and cruel. The more normal everything seemed, the closer the destination was. The Titanic was moving at constant speed through silent waters, confident, proud, untouched. And while the world slept inside that steel giant, something stood motionless in the darkness ahead, still invisible, still silent, still unknown. At that moment nothing had happened, but the last minutes of normality were already counting down, and no one, absolutely no one, knew about it. Somewhere inside the Titanic someone was smiling, exactly 10 minutes before it was all over. If you had been there that night, what would you be doing now, thinking about the future, or just living the last moment without knowing it, while some passengers still walked through the aisles, without imagining what time hid? Something began to change, not visibly but perceptible to those who knew how to observe. The cold was increasing. It wasn't just discomfort. It was a dry, rigid, different cold. The kind of cold that made the air feel heavier when breathing. Some commented on this in low voices. Nothing alarming. Just a casual observation, like so many others made that night. On deck, few remained outside. The silence was so deep that footsteps could be heard, echoing in the distance. The sea remained motionless, and precisely for this reason, it became misleading. Without waves, without foam, without reflections, the horizon turned into an absolute emptiness, a dark line against an even darker one. The watchmen kept their eyes fixed in front. No moon lit the way. No brightness cut through the darkness. The night seemed to have swallowed the ocean. Throughout the day, messages had been received by radio, warnings about ice in that region, fragments of information that, isolated, did not sound urgent. The Titanic was modern, great, reliable, and confidence sometimes is the quietest enemy. On the bridge, everything was as expected. Constant speed, technical routine, no apparent reason to change course. The ship was moving forward as it had always done. In many parts of the countryside, life went on in small human gestures, a couple talking in a low tone, someone closing a suitcase for the next day, a passenger setting the alarm clock. Small details that seemed insignificant, but which, seen today, carry a weight that is impossible to ignore. In a booth, someone was carefully folding an unfinished letter. In another, a pocket watch was placed on the table, marking the last beats of a time that no one knew was running out. The Titanic was cutting through increasingly cold waters. Outside, something remained motionless, silent, old. No rush, no apparent intention. There was no impact. There was no warning. There was no sound. The tragedy did not yet exist, only the possibility. And the most disturbing thing of all was not what was ahead, but the fact that no one, absolutely no one, had reason to suspect. Everything seemed too normal. The minutes went by. The ship was following, and without realizing it, the Titanic was approaching the exact point where fate would cease to be an idea, and it would become inevitable. There were still a few minutes to go, and they were about to break up. As the Titanic advanced, through the darkness of the North Atlantic, it carried much more than steel, coal, and modern machinery. It carried people. That night, there were just over 2,200 lives on board. Men, women, and children from different parts of the world, all united by the same space and by the same lack of knowledge. For many, that ship represented absolute security. The propaganda said that it had been designed to withstand the impossible. Watertight compartments, state-of-the-art technology, engineering that promised control. But few knew that that security had invisible limits. The Titanic could carry far more people than the available boats allowed, and yet everything was within the law of the time. The law said that it was enough. The reality, it was never consulted. Inside the ship, no one discussed numbers. Nobody talked about capacity. No one questioned promises. People trusted it. They trusted because everything seemed solid. They trusted because the ground did not shake. They trusted because the sea was too calm to threaten. In many corridors, silence began to dominate. Low beams, doors closing. Some passengers were already sleeping soundly. Others remained awake, lost in thought about the next day. New York was approaching. A new life seemed more and more real. The Titanic moved forward as a symbol of what human beings believed they had achieved, control over nature. But at that very moment, the ship was carrying something that no engineering could. Calculate the human weight of trust. More than 2,000 people believing they were safe. More than 2,000 stories walking together through the same night. No one thought of danger, because the danger had no face. Not yet. Outside, the cold was increasing. The air seemed denser. The ocean was motionless as if watching. Up ahead, something remained silent, waiting, not as an enemy, but as part of the natural world itself that never made promises. The Titanic did not slow down. There was no reason for that. No alarm sounded. No warning was shouted. No order changed. Everything continued exactly as it should be, according to men. Inside the ship, someone turned to the side on the bed. Another passenger pulled the blanket. One child was breathing slowly, in deep sleep. Life went on as normal, and perhaps this was the cruelest detail of all, because there were only a few minutes left, a few minutes before the ocean charged what no technology could negotiate. But not yet. There was still no impact. There were still no screams. There was still no panic. Just a ship full of lives, advancing confidently towards a destination that no one there could have imagined. And in the last moments before everything changed, The Titanic continued to believe in what it was promised, that it was safe. If our trip through the last 10 minutes before the Titanic sank made you feel like you were there, leave the word Titanic here in the comments, so I'll know that this historical recreation touched you. This channel exists to go back in time, always before the world changes.